As soon as I plug this in, it's gonna go. 3, 2, 1, go! This is the Cyrusher Kommoda 3! It's a chunky, powerful, torquey e-bike that rides so well that you don't even need a throttle. Yeah, this is the Cyrusher Kommoda, and it is one of Cyrusher's many drop frame chunky e-bikes. And amazingly, considering it's the Kommoda 3, I've never had a Komodo before. I've had the Ovia, which is very nice, very, very similar to this. And originally this was like cheaper, and I think it had a smaller battery. But now the Ovia has sold out, and I think they're switching that to a sort of legal moped type thing. So this is basically filling that spot. Then there's the Rumble that I tried before, which is cheaper than this, does not have rear suspension. That was really nice. Not quite as chunky, but also drop frame, but also powerful, because a Cyrusher wouldn't be a Cyrusher if it wasn't powerful. Now this bike, you'll read on the website, is 250 watts, but magically 85 Newton meters of torque, which we'll test out shortly. I am limited to 15.5. I am big and chunky, but we're not racing around at 25 to 30. But you just know that it could, but not through jiggery pokery in the computer. It is hardware locked, so it does meet the specifications. There's no throttle, and this motor has been classed at 250. But you can't feel the punch. It's got a lot of torque, this motor has. Considering there's only one motor as well, it's a very good one. But because it's so chunky and heavy, it is pretty hard to pedal fast after that motor cuts out. 37 kilograms, quite heavy. You would not want to take this on public transport or up a set of stairs. So if you are in an area, for example Alabama, where you don't mind unlocking this bike, then go for it. But today we are keeping it totally legal as we pass through the possibly soon to be fully repaired worst road in Wolverhampton. We do have dual suspension. Rear suspension is air suspension. Front suspension is adjustable. Here's locking the suspension. Just pull it around, a bit stiff. That locks it out. And there's the preload that doesn't do much at all, ever. When this suspension is locked at the front no longer goes down. The rear still does, but you can adjust that rear suspension by using the air on the air shock. And it is very smooth indeed. Let's check out an hour test. Alright, as you'd expect from a big fat tyre dual suspension e-bike, this is right at home over gravelly stuff like this. It's comfortable. There's a bit of airing going on, but it was way better than most. Right, this is a torque sensor, meaning as soon as the pedals feel any sort of pressure from you, it'll take off. But then it only gives you a max effort when it feels extra effort. So it's hard to get a fair reading or time on the hill climb, but luckily I've got a little trick. Now, there is a connector for a throttle, and I've bought my own throttle. However, this throttle doesn't work very well on a lot of stuff. So when I plug this in, what's going to happen is it's actually going to just suddenly start going as if the throttle's already on. So, feels that pressure. It's a good torque sensor, but you've got to be careful. If you're resting on the pedal, it might take you off. Right, okay, so 85 Newton meters of torque. As soon as I plug this in, it's going to go. So, 3, 2, 1, go! I can stop it if I hold the brake, but then I've got to really quickly disconnect it before. Now, unfortunately, we've reached 15.5, so it's going to stop giving power. But the true test is going to be, how does it do when it gets a bit steeper? And it's a shame, because if it wasn't limited, it would have got extra speed up here and it would have had a bigger run up and got a better time. But as it is, it's not. We're getting up very well, especially for a single motor. I can see this beating a lot of 1,000 watt bikes. We're at the top, And unfortunately you can't get loads of extra speed because it's limited, but we are about to cross the line now. Fantastic.
And coming in at 1 minute 5 seconds, it's narrowly beaten its younger sibling, the Cyrusher Rumble, and beaten big engine e-bikes such as the Jansno X50, 750 watts, the Tesway X7 Pro, which was 1,600 watts, the old Engine Pro, the L20 Boosts, and many other much more powerful e-bikes are trailing in the wake of the Cyrusher Kommoda 3.
Right, let's pull over. Let's get rid of that throttle. We don't need it. That's the great thing about a good torque sensor, is that you don't really need a throttle to get yourself going. Right, I need to pull a brake with that arm and pull that out. Oh, there we go. Whew. I had a little mishap in the conservatory when I plugged that in and the bike decided it was going to try and run away. So if you do want a super duper fast bike, this could be your answer. You could get your own throttle, hopefully one that works, plug that in, do the unlocking, which is around by the controller. It's quite simple. There's like a wire, you disconnect it, and then you unleash the power. But as it is, no one's going to quickly do a few taps on the computer and unlock your bike and tell you you've got an illegal bike, because you did not know about the ability to unlock this bike when you bought it, of course, because they don't tell you about it. Right, let's see how fast we're going to go. We've only got 7-speed tourney gears. Oh, I'm only in 4, but there's no power now anyway. So yeah, whilst you could pedal this bike without power, I'm only going about 23 miles an hour with a decent amount of effort. The big 20-inch, 4-inch wide fat tyres. Well, actually, the tread isn't too chunky. Yeah, that torque sensor just takes you off straight away. But yeah, those tyres, you know, they're going to cause a bit of drag, make it a bit harder for you to pedal. But if you just want a nice relaxing ride and you're happy with 15 to 16, this is very nice. You can adjust the wheel settings. You can only go down to 20. It was currently set to 24. But when I put it down to 20, although it still reads that it goes 15.5 miles an hour on the clock, it was giving me power up to around 17. It just felt a bit more punchy and a bit less pedestrian. I thought 17 was quite a good speed actually. So if you didn't want to get your hands dirty messing around by the controller and unplugging the proper unlimiter, you can get a tiny bit more through there. So the torque sensor kicks in really quickly, but then because it's got gears, it might stop. Like now, it can't feel me. So if I up the gears, it doesn't take very much pressure for you to get a decent amount of power. Because some torque sensors, they really want you to put that extra effort in, but luckily this one doesn't. So now I'm stopped. I'm in the lowest gear, which is an accident, but luckily the torque sensor quickly kicks in, and away I go, even though I was in bottom gear, top gear. Bottom as in small cog. Now let's quickly see how the bike came and how easy it went together.
It's a big box. This is what it looks like on the inside. That's what it looks like when it comes out. Handlebar stem comes on backwards, so we're gonna have to just loosen that and turn it around. Get the handlebars in, it's got a little target so you can see where the middle is. In the box there's a light, a pump, the best ball end Allen keys, and a spanner or wrench. A 3-amp charger, instruction manual, and some pedals, but apparently some reviewers have said that the pedals, there's something wrong with them, not sure what it is. So they sent these pedals instead, but they do look exactly the same. Get the pedals on, get the front light on, get the front mudguard on. And the 3-amp charger is charging up the 20-amp-hour battery, and it should take somewhere between 6 and 7 hours.
That rear suspension's ever so comfortable. You can just kind of feel that you're resting on, I don't know, it's like sitting on a really nice spring or something. You never bottom it out. It feels a lot more expensive than it should, considering the bike's only 1,400, which obviously is a lot of money, but for an e-bike of this quality, isn't really. Plus I've got a code EVRC, so you can use the link below in the description. That'll take you to the bike. That is if you're interested in buying it. I'll tell you again later once you know more about the bike. Now it's probably a bit too early. You haven't got to the negatives yet, but there is a link in the description. If you use that, it helps the channel. It will only take you where you'd go anyway. Right now I've got no power, so I need to up the gears. But it lets Cyrusher know you came from our video. So yeah, I'd really appreciate it if at the end you feel like having this bike and you use that link. That That was me trying to pray, but only using one. Ooh. But yeah, EVRC, whether you use our link or not, that'll save you £80. So that brings this down to 1,320, which is not bad at all. Oh, that power just propels you through the corner. But then it cuts out at 15.5, which is annoying. But not the bike's fault, because the bike doesn't have to. Oh, more bumps here. Yeah, you just can't feel it. I mean, you know it's there, but it just, compared to some with no suspension or thinner tyres, it's just nothing. It eats it all up. Let's just quickly test out pedal assist mode. So if you're in pedal assist 1, it just kind of slowly moves you away, but you can barely feel it. Pedal assist 2, again, very, very mild. It's just a slight push. So if you want a bit of exercise, I'd say pedal assist 2 is quite good. And then 3, they do seem to have a speed cut-off. Like, they don't want to get you up to 15.5, but 3 seems to be getting you there slowly. And then 4 and 5, they feel very similar to each other. The screen is very visible. It's very sunny today, but I can see it very well. No doubt when I'm showing it on the B-roll, I've got a horrible reflection that you can see instead. But trust me, I can see it very well. I love the computer settings. Just hold down those 2 buttons and you'll get to a screen. And unlike usually where you've got no idea what's going on, it actually tells you got your wheel size, speed limit, background, display unit, auto off, battery, and then there's an advanced mode with other stuff in. Unfortunately, the speed limit, well, actually maybe fortunately, the speed limit doesn't do anything until you unplug that plug by the controller. Let's talk about that battery before we talk about the bits. You want to know the big stuff, don't you? We know about the motor. 3 spare keys. Shove it in at the side. It pops up like this. And when it's unlocked, you can't pull the key out anymore. So here it is. 48 volts. 20 amp hours, 960 watt hours. And it slots in, give it a bang, turn the key the other way, pull it out, locked in, done. Now this is one chunky bike. No one could ever accuse this bike of being designed for women. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's definitely a unisex bike, but it offers that convenience of being able to just step off through that drop frame. But considering it is such a chunky bike, what kind of size people is it suited for? Because you'd imagine it's suited for big people. It goes really low, so anyone could ride this. Talking to you, Tyrion Lannister. And it goes really high, up to there. Whoa. So I reckon even the mountain could ride it. Well, maybe not the mountain. Someone up to about 6'6", 6'7". Right, let's try the brakes out. They were supposed up. Ooh, about 18 miles an hour is going then. Nice chunky stand. It's only there. 1, 2 and a bit. Another good torque sensor. I had 2 good torque sensors in a row now. I never used to like them, but I do like this. As you'd expect, good performance on the brake test because it's got those massive 180 millimeter rotors paired with the hydraulic brakes and thick roadish tready tyres. At 18, it's obviously going to stop you extremely quick, and it is quite dry. Now let's talk about the little bits then. So, no bell, but it does have a buzzer, which is very loud. It's got front and rear lights. The front is a very nice, chunky motorbike style light. The rear light is a brake light as well, which is always handy. The saddle is quite chunky, but I think I'm sat on it funny because it isn't feeling that comfortable on my right buttock. Actually, that's a bit better now. The pedals, as I mentioned in the unboxing, are new pedals, but like I said, I don't know if they sent me the wrong ones because they're exactly the same as the others, and I have scraped the pedal on the floor when I was under some quite extreme cornering, so do watch out for that. The screen doesn't seem to have a USB out. I can't see one somewhere, correct me if I'm wrong. Hand grips, oh, really torque sensor. They're okay. There's no palm rest or anything like that. They're very basic, but they're okay. But I do like the look of these chunky Cyrusher drop frame bikes. For those people who just, they want a drop frame for maybe mobility issues or just for convenience, but they don't want it to look not so manly, this hits the spot. easily gets down a curb. Let's go up a curb. No lifting. Boing. Wow. It's like a monster truck bike. Monster bike. Right, let's do a 0 to 15 test. Obviously, no throttle. Well, I don't want to use the throttle for this. 3, 2, 1, go. I think I probably should have used the throttle. I'm not sure that was kind of a fair test. It definitely wants you to be pushing the pedals round for it to give you that maximum power. So if you do decide to pedal softly, it will give you less, which is nice because it means you can adjust the amount of power going through, kind of like with a throttle. So it makes it a bit more safe compared to a cadence sensor, which always gives you 100%. So really, it's kind of like it's got all the benefits of a cadence sensor, because you can be lazy on this. Pop it into that top gear and you barely need to push around. But if you want a bit more control, go to a lower gear and it will know when you're not pushing very hard. But being a torque sensor, and a good torque sensor, it does also give you all the power straight away. So if you're pulling off at lights, you'll get going and you won't have to do a whole rotation like you do on cadence sensors. So I'm glad they're getting better, but now's about the time we should pop in and head to the future and see what kind of range I've got at the end of my test. We were down to 90%, it's gone down to 91%, but let's call it 90%, and we've done 15.5 miles. Now that doesn't mean 100% would be that times 10, 155 miles, that's a lot of miles. But it is way above 68 miles, which is what they reckon you can do. I reckon this could easily do 68 miles, especially considering that I was on pedal assist 5 pretty much all the time, because those figures are usually when you decrease the pedal assist. So put that on pedal assist 3, which is very manageable. I reckon this easily gets the range, considering as well I'm over 100 kilograms. So well done, battery. Right, negatives. If you need a USB on your computer, then it hasn't got one. The hand grips aren't the best, but they are just hand grips, so you can just swap them. Same with the saddle. I think the saddle could be more comfortable. Again, easily swappable. There's only like little things about this bike really. I really like this bike. Oh yeah, I suppose one big thing is that if you did want to be able to pedal, say about 20 constantly, then this is really hard to do that on if you're keeping it legal, because it is so heavy and with the big fat tyres and stuff. That's an issue. So it's creaking actually. I think it might, I can't tell if it's the suspension or if it's the gears. I think the gears needed a bit of adjusting. They are only cheap Tawny, which are fine if they're adjusted well, but these need a tiny bit. There's a bit of a rattle on one of the gears. And I think the final thing that might be the biggest problem, because you can't really fix, well, I suppose you could fix it by changing the pedals, but yeah, those pedals are low, and I think I could get them to hit the floor. Now let's get into a safer street. I'm trying to purposely make it happen. Yeah, there we go. Whoa! Whoever buys this bike off me, I do have spare pedals in the box. To be fair, I had to go quite low then, but if you're going fast, you do tend to corner a bit lower, and it might make you poo your pants. So just watch out, be aware of it. If you are cornering, try and keep your legs both in the middle. I am noticing when I go round a roundabout, because we don't have a throttle, I want to keep on pedaling. So if you keep on pedaling, you can't keep the pedals there. You have to keep going round. So I am hitting those pedals on the floor. So be careful. I don't know how they're going to sort it out. If they do send new pedals, they would need to be much shorter, or the cranks need to be shorter, but then you'll lose riding torque, which maybe isn't so important on this because you're pretty much just running on the battery all the time. But it is a problem that they'll need to solve pretty soon. That was the pretty nice Cyrusher Kommoda, and it is available on their website if you're interested. Do use that link in the description, especially if you enjoyed this review. or you appreciate our honesty, but you still want it. I like it. It's got a few issues, but I think all of them are solvable. But anyway, if you use that, it helps out the channel. I'd really appreciate it if you did. Also, don't forget to use the EVRC code, because that'll save you 80 quid. And that's it really. If you liked this video, hit that thumbs up button. If you didn't like this video, thanks for still being here. But give us a thumbs down and let us know in the comments why we need to improve. And until next time, ride safe.